You're listening to episode 6 of the Morebegsden. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode. Really excited to have another show like this. Today we have moved location yet again. Now we're shooting in Maureen's pub near Shandon in Cork City. Big shout out to Maureen for letting us use her space. It's a fantastic pub where there are lots of like art shows, lots of poetry. It's where Spillane is held, which we mentioned last time in our last podcast. Fantastic space, and yet again thanks Maureen for setting up a lovely art venue like this, as well as letting me use this space for my podcast. Thank you. Today I'm joined by Colm Philpott, a great musician and a great writer, a very inspiring young fellow that's joining me here today. How you doing, Colm? What's the crack?
Hi Phil, how's it going?
I'm good. Thank you very much for taking the time out and having a good chat. Colm, we met at Sounds Original, which was in the Roundy, which is run by Lady Faye, is that right?
Yeah.
Back in September. And Colm, when you went up and play, you mentioned that you were diagnosed with autism, and you can give your side of the story down in a moment. But I myself I have autism as well, but unlike, very different for yourself, I was diagnosed when I was a kid. But still, I noticed that we have some similarities, or have some similar challenges. But what you did was you got inspired to go ahead and write a musical, a whole big science fiction dystopia based on that, where autism is essentially be cured. Is that right?
Yeah, it's basically it's set in the year 2244, and it's basically autistic people are cured against their will, whether they like it or not. And I suppose in a way it's a metaphor for how we're treated, because I think in a way autistic people, we're all like, even though we don't have the technology to do it, I have met autistic people who have in a sense been forcibly cured. And what I mean by that is they've been bullied and bullied and bullied and bullied over and over again, to the point where there's no need for a sci-fi cure. Their traits have been so repressed that there's, like, I've met autistic people who they told me they don't know who they are, because they've been bullied so many times that their true self has been so repressed that they can't get it back. So while I wasn't thinking of it in that way at the time, when you write something, you might be thinking afterwards, oh, did I mean it that way or not? So I was thinking maybe that's what I meant when I said the forcible cure. It's like the forcible cure is a metaphor for how we're all in danger as autistic people of being forcibly cured, the way society treats us.
And it's like, it's not about being cured, it's the question of, if we were cured, what else would we lose about ourselves, like, that we take for granted? Like, one of the things about autism, we have social anxiety, we have like we're very intense, we have very intense personality that a lot of people might take a while getting used to, or we getting used to, but we do sponge in a lot of information, and we take in so much of the world around us. We sensory overload sometimes, or sensory specific, and that's a superpower in some ways, because we can take in so much and push it back out, and that could be lost if maybe autism is cured. It's a very interesting question. But anyway, Colm, as soon as you said that really beautiful introduction to your dystopian there on the stage at Lady Faye's concert, I put my hands in the air in the back of the audience going, yes, good concept, good science fiction. And when your set was finished, unfortunately I had to go home early. So I was running up Barrack Street, totally inspired by your piece. And I wrote my own response to it about what happens if my autism was cured. And I hope I want to see what you think about it, and then we can chat about your own perspective on it. It's not too long. It's in it I mention a type of reptile. It's called a pterodactyl. It's a prehistoric flying reptile that exists.
I love dinosaurs.
Yeah, I love dinosaurs too. There we go. I've gone to where my mind will become dust, a clean slate among all other roof slates. Not this tile, the one I was dealt, this intellect on a different wavelength, this self missing bits. I've gone to where my mind will be aborted, formatted, neutered and completed. So they say, so they promised, so they have invented. I sit in the wheelchair, gazing at the LED lights blinking, autistic, sensor observant, a selective sponge. Between my chittery hands I hold a pterosaur figure. It represents me, as pterosaurs are not dinosaurs but lived among dinosaurs. I love paleontology, especially the study of avian reptiles. And why would I want to remove all of that passion, that niche, that large part of me? I want to love. I want to be loved. I'm tired of being a solo wolf without a pack. I want to change. I want to be different and yet normal. The machines rumble and the trapdoor drops. It's like a silver cylindrical interior of a washing machine. I slide in and the door shuts. And I am shrouded. They do all the checks and start the countdown. Before it starts to spin, something goes wrong. Instead of everything going to dust, something hijacks the mind. They are too late to stop it. My mind eye explodes. I see galloping tides, a meadow of textured sand, a canopy of stars. I am sailing with the wind. They try to wake me up. I try to wake up until I embrace it, who I am. I am a pterodactyl cutting through the layers of the sky. So basically what I'm saying in that is that I'm embracing who I am. That's what I'm.
Yeah, that's cool. When you said your mind is being turned to dust, yeah, that really. I mean, I think that's what people who are. No, I'm not saying it's as bad as it was 20 years ago, but I think a lot of people still would. They just want us cured, and then that would just destroy everything that makes us us.
Are you comfortable talking about your own side of the story? So I mentioned that I was diagnosed as a kid. What about your side? Because I know I'm aware it's different.
Well, what it was that I started to experience, when I was 25, I started to experience a problem that has gotten worse, but still manageable. Very severe travel anxiety. And so I was in Oslo, and the plan was to visit Oslo and then visit Tromsø, which is above the Arctic Circle, so it would be very exciting. So I was in Oslo. I was basically getting panic attacks every single day, which isn't supposed to be happening when you're on holiday. You're supposed to be like, so like I was getting, like, I was trying to go out and see the interesting stuff, which I did, but I was getting these really bad panic attacks, and I was getting about 2 hours sleep, and this was while I was on holiday. And so then I had to abort the trip to Tromsø and come home, and then as a kind of an emergency, because I was having some sort of breakdown.
Oh no.
So I went to a psychologist to try and my idea at the time was like, okay, there's some temporary thing wrong with my brain, and I'll get it fixed, and then I'll go back to travelling the world. And then I was diagnosed, as a result of these sessions, I was diagnosed with autism. And what I said was, this was in 2010, and what I just said to myself was, no, I can't be autistic. No, there's a mistake. I can't be autistic. And I bought into that narrative that you probably know well, is that, they're handing out autism diagnoses like they're chocolate or whatever the phrase is.
They're
I don't know.
boxing me in. That's what I feel like sometimes.
And so basically I said, I suppose, I I don't want to. I don't like comparing myself to other minorities too much because I don't know what it's like to be a different minority. But I suppose it's like vaguely similar to when someone is kind of told that they're gay and they go into denial because there's so much. They're like, hopefully it's better now, but there could be, unfortunately, there's still a lot of homophobia in our society. So I think it's and I don't want to say it's too similar because I don't, but I suppose it's vaguely similar to that. I just went into denial and I was like that for years, and then every so often there'd be a thing like where my obvious need for sameness would be prominent, and I'd be like, maybe the diagnosis was right, and I'd be like, no, I can't be right, I can't be right. And then what happened during COVID was when the lockdown was almost over, I started getting really anxious, and it was like saying on an intellectual level, why am I anxious? Like, the lockdown ending would be, and don't get me wrong, no, I think it's brilliant that the fuck the lockdown, I never want to see it again. But as the lockdown was coming to an end, I was really, really anxious, and I was talking to my friend who's also autistic, was like, why am I anxious? I shouldn't be anxious, I should be jumping for joy. And he said, would you consider the possibility that the autism diagnosis was correct? And then it was just a light bulb. Of course, need for sameness, because a part of my brain was as happy as anything during the lockdown, and I realised that I had a very strong need for sameness, and then I realised that I am autistic, and even though I'm delighted that the lockdown's over, like I'm living a great life with it over, I'm more familiar with that side myself, the need for sameness, and that sometimes I've learned that I need to mind myself. Like, it's like if there's 3 exciting things happening in a given week, I might say, hang on, you can only go to one of them because you'll get overwhelmed if you go to all 3. Like, so
okay.
I'm better at minding myself now. And
the
need for sameness is a complicated thing because it's like one of those autistic traits where you don't know how much is it the autism and how much is it. You see, autism, you end up with an anxiety disorder because of it, because of the way you're treated.
You get overwhelmed, yeah.
So, like, how much of it is the anxiety disorder, the need for sameness? How much is the anxiety disorder because of the way I'm treated? And how much is it the autism itself?
Oh man, I don't know. And
yeah.
I think it's possible to overcome that anxiety as well. But how did that lead into you writing this conceptual music that you've been telling me all about, and you presented us with the roundie that you showcased in the roundie? That was beautiful guitar playing as well. You were playing the guitar and you were singing these wonderful pieces and in a very, very beautiful ghostly voice. Like, I don't know where that came from, man. Tell us a bit, how did that come from, that denial of autism, and then suddenly embracing it, and through embracing it managed to produce something so beautiful?
Well, I'm a big prog rock fan. If should I give a rundown of what that style is like, or?
Briefly, yeah.
Basically, prog music is, I describe it as everything in the kitchen sink music. So it's like, where the whole song is an adventure. So it's like, instead of a song having 3 minutes and being it's been 3 minutes long and having 3 instruments, it might be 20 minutes long and have 20 instruments. Yeah, and
that's insane.
Yeah, so I thought it was that style was the perfect vehicle for what I was trying to do, because I'd wanted to write a prog album with a concept for years, and you see, when I realised I was autistic, a light bulb went off in my head that I'd been pretending to be something I'm not all my life, and now I finally have something to write about.
Yeah.
So the album is called... Do you want me to give a rundown of the story of the album?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, man.
So the album is called Neurotypical Empire Volume 1, 2244. And if you're asking, is that typical of prog albums where even the title is overcomplicated? The answer is yes.
Yes.
So what it is it's about these 3 autistic characters in the year 2244, and they have 3 different personalities that clash against each other. There's Chris, who doesn't want to fight for justice at all. He just wants to get to somewhere where he's safe from the injustice of that world of the forcibly curing autistic people. There's his sister Emily, who who was forcibly cured, so she's just been forcibly turned into a non-autistic person, and she's got a strong sense of justice, but her undoing is she wants revenge. And then there's another character, Philip Preston. He's an autistic scientist, and basically Chris and Emily kind of pressure him to help them because they need his help. And but what he is, he's the kind of autistic people. I have met autistic people like this in my life, where it's like they will just side with the people who are opposed to autistic people, because they're like, oh, if I show myself to be one of the good ones, they'll leave me alone. So Philip Preston, his undoing is that he'll just stab other autistic people in the back without hesitation.
Oh.
And the main villain is, funnily enough, the actual neurotypical empire. You don't encounter them till a later album, pretty much, because the story is going to take place over multiple albums. But so the main villain in this album is a guy called Løvaas, and who Løvaas is he's based on a real guy called Ole Ivar Løvaas, and what this guy did was he came up with this horrific therapy for autistic people that involved shouting at them, screaming at them, electrocuting them, and this was autistic kids he was doing it to. So,
and very understudied at the time, that what this dude did mentally. That's insane.
It's what he's doing is horrible objectively, but he's so deluded that he thinks he's doing the right thing. So basically,
now I understand you.
Basically, he's forcibly curing autistic people, and basically he wants to get support for curing every autistic person on Earth in the year 2244. But he's shot down because the autistic people who would be useful, we say. So the society thinks, all right, the autistic people that are useful, we still want them. So it's not out of sympathy for the autistic people. It's like, oh, there's some of them we need. And so what Løvaas does is he goes back in time to the year 1997, where that was at the height of the whole vaccines cause autism debacle. And so he's like, that's a time in world history where people will support me.
Yeah, because you're echoing all like the aspects of the history of autism there.
Yeah.
You're kind of harping on in a very science fiction manner that could be very educational to some people, because I think a lot of people, actually, even myself, are unfamiliar with the background of autism. I know bits and pieces about it, but not a whole lot. Colm, that's beautiful inspiration. You have a huge imagination. Where did you learn to do music? Where did you get that background? Because you're really good at it.
Well, I learned to play the guitar when I was 13, and I just played the guitar for years and pretty much no other instrument. And then I spent hours and hours and hours just doing improvisations, because I don't have the kind of level of focus to just learn. Like, I know a few scales, but I don't have the level of focus to just like learn this scale, learn that scale. So it's just improvising over and over again, and then I kind of learned a few rudimentary but useful techniques of that, and then I learned the drums, because the reason I learned the drums was because as an autistic person, my physical differences, the drums are just my what's that term I'm on? I suppose they're my white whale. So it's like, the drums want to defeat me. We'll see about that. And I learned a few instruments, like the Turkish Zaz, for example, and I learned the bass guitar and the keyboards. And how I got into singing then was I very briefly thought, was there any way for neurotypical empire to work as instrumentals? And there isn't. There's no way without lyrics. I said, I'll just have to bite the bullet and get into singing. And funny enough, because I realised I was autistic, I realised that a lot of my anxiety about singing was connecting to that. Because basically, for autistic, how it's been for me is that if you're, especially when you're a kid, if you just want to ramble on about, the planet Saturn or the planet Jupiter or whatever, the kids won't politely tell you that they've no interest in that. They just say, will you ever shut up? So I got to understand that when I talk, people verbally abuse me. So I started to hate my speaking voice and by extension my singing voice. But then when I realised autistic, I realised that all the ways I've been kind of bullied, I realised that's where my hatred for my singing voice is coming from. And then I was able to kind of overcome it. And then I got so... This might sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but when I got over that to the point where it's very rare that I dislike the sound of... Not that I don't think it could be better, my singing voice, okay, wrong. But you know, the way a lot of singers... they hate the sound of their voice. Well, yeah. I don't, because I really dug deep and figured out this dislike of my own singing voice comes from years of bullying, and then I managed to go through that and push through it, and that's why I like the sound of my singing voice. Don't pretty much like every
I put it another way for you there. I put it another way for you because kind of listening to you there. You through overcoming your anxiety, you managed to actually find out that you can actually sing really well. So that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it's like there'll be a day here and there where I say, oh God, I wish I could sing like this, or I wish I could sing like that. But
very natural for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, but the funny thing is I realised that like I suppose I really I got a 3-octave vocal range. I suppose that's counting the falsetto range. So it was weird to realise that I'm not disadvantaged when it comes to singing. Do you know, I was just lucky with what I was born with.
Oh, lucky that's what you worked towards, because you put a lot of work into putting this album together, inspired by the cards you've been dealt with to manage to produce a whole conceptual album, a whole dystopia vision of this musical. What's it called again? Sorry.
Neurotypical Empire, Volume 1, 2244.
2244. Yes. 2244 in short.
Yeah, I call it Neurotypical Empire for short. That's what I like. If I don't want to give people the whole mouthful, I just say Neurotypical Empire.
Cool. I'm afraid I might stutter it if I say the full title.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it sounds wonderful. What's the next vision for it? Because I'm aware it's not finished yet. What's the next step in this project?
Of the 10 songs that are on the album, 8 of them are completed. So unless something goes catastrophically wrong, this album will be released in 2025. It might be
excellent.
It might be the latter part of 2025, but I can't see it going into 2026. The next album after that features sounds funny. It's deliberately meant to be a bit funny. Løvaas going back in time to the Roman Empire and pulling his anti-autism shenanigans there.
That's part 2. That's hilarious. More self-aware.
Volume 3 involves aliens, and Volume 4 is when finally the neurotypical empire attacks planet Earth.
So you got a full-on self-aware science fiction going on there, whole universe being built. We'll concentrate on the first one though. You got the Skies of Iapetus? Iapetus. Sorry, that's Iapetus. The Skies of Iapetus. That's one of the songs in the album. A beautiful piece. That's a beautiful bird song coming from Maureen's clock there.
Cool. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's nice.
I love birds.
It's very interrupting, but it's a great interruption.
Yeah.
Great reminder. Skies of Iapetus. And Memories of the Invasion, and got 2244 as well. They're the 3 songs that are currently on SoundCloud, and I can share that below so you guys can take a listen to those prog pieces. That tell us a bit about those songs there.
So 2244 is basically, it's kind of serving as an introduction. So it's like, I suppose on some level it's got these kind of ethereal vocals, it's got an organ solo, it's got a guitar solo. So I suppose in a way it's kind of saying, like, you know, hitting people in the face with music in the hope that they'll be hit so hard they'll want to stick around. I mean, maybe, I don't know if that logic works or not, but that's what I was going for. And there's very little singing lyrics in it, but it's basically the character Chris. He's saying, it's basically talking about how he's just sick of planet Earth and he wants to get off Earth because in this universe I created, the outer colonies of the solar system are more tolerant towards autistic people. The Skies of Iapetus is about Chris having a conversation with his sister Emily, and Chris is saying, look, don't bother fighting against the injustice on Earth. It's never going to get to Earth. It's never going to work. Let's both just go to Iapetus.
Which is a moon.
It's a moon of Saturn.
Yeah, it's a moon of Saturn.
Yeah.
Which is very science fiction inspired there, because like he's taking very utopian there. That he's dreaming of this no place that he can escape to. He's dreaming of this no place he can escape to where he could be free.
Yeah.
That's what I understand from the song anyway.
Emily's saying, and this is when she tells him he's been forcibly cured, but she's saying, it's already too late for me, so all I can do is try and achieve justice. And then Chris he realises that now granted he hasn't seen her in 10 years, but he still feels that he's so wrapped up in going to Iapetus that he hasn't even noticed that his sister has changed, that she's received this horrible treatment, and then he feels so ashamed. So then he just says, like, I'm going to stay on Earth with you, and we're going to get Løvaas, basically.
Tension. And also the last song on the SoundCloud, Memories of the Invasion, which is more of a darker instrumental as well, very atmospheric.
I had a lot of fun with that because you see, basically, I dropped in the DAW, in the recording software, we'll say, I dropped my voice an octave, and it's like, that is why I sound like this. And that's basically the neurotypical empire. It was a brief skirmish, we'll say, but a costly one.
It sounds over the top to some people now listening to this, but really what it is, it sounds over the top, but yeah, it's just trying to set a metaphorical image of this could be possible, or what it's trying to say. I was inspired a lot. I love it though. I love it. Don't get me wrong there.
I was inspired a lot by the Borg, because in Borg and Star Trek, until they kind of watered it out, if the Borg arrives, it's you throw at everything at them, or you are fucked, basically. So the neurotypical empire is basically, if they arrive on Earth, you are having a very, very bad day. And that's what I wanted to convey.
Borg is a great inspiration when you talk about it. So essentially everyone, Borg are a race of aliens in Star Trek that try to simulate or try to make everyone like them. Essentially, they're inspired from beehives. So like they make everyone join their drones. So that's really actually re-explains your musical really well for everyone. Colm, you kind of let us feature one of your songs in the in our podcast. Which one would you like to show to us, or which one do you feel like?
The Skies of Iapetus, because I think that would be the best way of I suppose showing what the album is about.
That's a beautiful song. That was one of the first songs you played for us at the show. Class, Colm. This is Skies of Iapetus.
Skies of Iapetus are calling me. Watch moons drift slowly. It's a place I could call home. The skies of Iapetus are calling me. The skies of Iapetus are calling me. Stop your denial. You know damn well what happened to me. My mind is gone. There's nothing left of me. And the only reason I go on is to see it happen to no one else. And to make the bastard pay for what he did to us. When we were young, Mom and Dad tried really hard risked everything until they met their end. And the only reason they went on is so that we'd be okay. I want to say I fall for them when I visit their grave. I won't leave now. Not till justice is done. The skies of Iapetus can wait for me. The skies of Iapetus can wait for me.
Iapetus is calling me. It's shouting out to me. That's a beautiful piece, man. Thank you so much for sharing that on our show. Colm, you are very inspiring. Like, you're very inspiring for me to I was dealt with we all dealt with these cards that we didn't have a choice in. It doesn't have to be autistic. It could be that you're born bisexual. It could be born that you're bisexual, homosexual. You could be born with heavy anxiety. You could be born with all different types of things. You could be born into a world that is very hostile and could be very dangerous. But the idea that you take what the cards you've been dealt with and turn that into art. And I actually want to say this very quickly, that something happened this week that we didn't expect and we didn't have a choice in, for some of us, and we have to take those things and turn it into something inspiring and something very artistic, because we have something to say. And that's always very important with art, that we take what we didn't have a choice in, and that can be seen something very dangerous or something scary, but we turn that around and say, I have something to say, I am inspired. And that's an incredible message to send out there. And I think that's what you did, Colm. You dealt with these cards and you turned that around and made it into something very beautiful. What's your response to that?
Well, I suppose what kind of inspires me, and it's 2024 has been. 2024 is the year we entered the dystopia, like it is. And
in your
if we
story,
weren't in a dystopia before, it is now. And I suppose what inspires me to keep going and hopefully creating art and my blog posts, try to hopefully do a small part in making a world where there's more justice, is there's a quote from Doctor Who where it's like Doctor Who, like he played by Peter Capaldi, his back's up against the wall and it looks like he's going to lose.
Yeah.
And he's kind of answering the question of why does he keep doing what he's doing, and he says, I don't do this thing because I'm going to win. I don't do this thing because I'm going to beat someone, want to beat someone. I don't even do this because it's easy, because it hardly ever is. I do what I do because it's right and because it's kind. And that's it. You've got to almost say to yourself, if everyone on earth said, I'm going to do what's right and create a happy world, even if there's a good chance I lose, well then that would be enough. Like because I think people get too into, it'd be very easy to look at, for example, the genocide in Palestine and say, it's too big, there's no way we can defeat that, we might as well not even bother. But I suppose if everyone in the world together said, I'm going to fight for justice even if I fail, then ironically there would be justice if people were willing to fight despite the possibility of failure.
Big message, man. Yeah. Just doing the right thing is sometimes not easy, but that doesn't mean you have to give up.
Yeah.
And, I remember you actually telling us that in the phone call there to me where we were discussing this, what we could do, chat about this in this podcast. You told me just don't give up. And sounds super obvious, but people forget that. Don't give up.
Yeah.
So lads, don't give up on your art, even though like the cards you've been dealt with seem unfair and difficult. Just don't give up on your art and what you want to do. Colm, thank you once again for joining us on this podcast on the Morebegsden. Appreciate your inspiration and your sounds. And your songs are beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much for having me. I should say that being on a podcast is kind of an unfulfilled dream for me. So thanks very much for giving me this opportunity.
No worries, Colm. No worries. We see what other people we can get inspired from this. And it doesn't have to be autistic. You can take your difficulties, your own challenges, and really make something special out of that. Take care, everyone. Hope you got something out of this. All the best for now. Take care. Enjoy your flying. Bye-bye.